And hello and welcome back to Fate Hollow Ataraxia? I'm not sure anymore because I had in my head Atraxia for so long, but at the point of putting up the first episode, I noticed, hey, that logo has an A in there. I didn't think it was in there. And then I noticed I spelled it wrong in the title initially, and I had to go back and fix a few things. So, Hollow Ataraxia, maybe? I don't know. I wonder if it's ever actually pronounced throughout this. It sounds like a made-up word. I've never heard of it, if it is a real word at the very least, so...
さあ、聖杯戦争を続けよう。バゼットフラガマグレミッツ。今度こそ、君の望みを見つけるために。
Last time, we took over as Bazett. Quite a bit into a long episode, too, so a lot of stuff happened. The house is built on top of a high hill. It lies hidden within a forest separated from any human habitation. My head aches. Also, apparently the text was going slower than it probably should have. I don't know if I adjusted it at some point. I might have, but I made it go faster regardless, so... I thought that breathing the outside air would clear myself, more or less. But instead, the cold night air only clouds my thoughts further.
どうしたマスター？まだ外に出るのは早かったか？
The servant pokes fun at me. I shake my head and keep going. My mind is still sluggish. The bright moonlight seems to be the source of my disorientation. The bright moonlight... Was that black? So this should be the Grail War which Shiro and all of them were in, right? Because it said the last one was the fourth, which is the one that supposedly was Fate Zero and whatnot, and that was the one immediately preceding the one in Fate's Day Night, so this is the fifth that we're currently a part of. So, either this guy's Lancer in some weird way, or this is something different than anything I recall hearing about, at the very least. It's quiet. Of course, it's past 2 a.m., but the city's abnormally silent even for this time. It slightly resembles my own hometown, the poor town I spent my childhood in. At night, the tide would come into the town, and people would shut themselves in their houses as if they were afraid. The empty city was almost like a ship sunk at the bottom of the ocean, prompting a younger me to want to run away from that place. I must have felt that everybody would have forgotten that I existed if I had stayed like that, at the bottom of the ocean. I couldn't help thinking about the old gods that nobody remembered anymore, sharing the same cursed fate. And now Fuyuki is being submerged into the ocean depths too. The atmosphere is different from the one I remember. It is too quiet. It might as well be an abandoned city. Okay. This started off with some mention of Heaven's Feel. So are we like coming out in the middle of Sakura doing shit where she's, you know, eating people and shit like that basically? And a lot of people died, basically? I think upon editing, I think the exact phrase that they had was Heaven's Feel's back door? I might be remembering that incorrectly. Regardless, only the presence of life is evident. I could feel almost countless numbers of creatures breathing. Surrounding me is an aura that I've never felt before. Mysterious things is what my servant said. I don't want to admit it, but it seems that there is credibility to what he says.
なんだあれ?
We've been walking for some 2 hours. I remember this background being used, I want to say, like, a little bit prior to going over to, like, the graveyard where we fought Archer and them relatively early on. At least that's the memory that comes to mind. The servant stops in his tracks, is now gazing at a particular residence.
すげえな。この辺りは見て回ったんだが、まだ残っていやがったか。
Have people been evacuated? I don't remember that being a thing, but it sounds feasible given how many people were dying. He speaks with an impressed tone. The house he's looking at is nothing more than a regular building. If there's anything that distinguishes it from the other residences, it is the one fact the lights are on.
あんたはそこにいろ。まだ本調子じゃねえんだろ。一足先に俺が様子を見てきてやるよ。
Try not to kill anyone. The servant starts walking towards it on his own accord. I try to chase after him. Pathetically, I'm thrown off by the moonlight. I gotta be honest here. I can't speak for the other servants, but see... Oh, are we switching to his perspective? Oh, should I give him like a little filleting to his thoughts? I can't speak for the other servants, but seeing me, I didn't feel like doing this from the get-go. High-level magic. The summoning of beings purified into the level of legends, and the giving of form to them to make them familiars. That's what servants are. Actually, is this a different servant, maybe? Because the other ones seem pretty raring to go to kill things, so... not something so cheap as just borrowing a piece of power of the heroic spirits. No, it's actually a projection of the guy himself. A resurrection just for the Holy Grail War. A clone with a short lifespan. A guardian of humanity born into the modern era. Sounds nice and dandy. Autonomous weapons are pretty convenient, right? I will say, it is nice that they're reviewing this stuff, because I have the general idea still, but it's been a long time for me to even think about these concepts, so... It is a nice refresher, even if I don't retain all the information even said here. Except replicating even what's on the inside is going to a little too far, don't you think? A familiar being able to think doesn't do anyone any good. That goes double for servants. Suppose there's a familiar more powerful than its master. Now, let's say I can think for itself. There's no reason why it wouldn't revolt. Well, other than the fact that can't you like force them to kill themselves or something like that with the command spell? Isn't that the whole point? Isn't that like most of the point of the command spell? Why you want to keep one around? Just in case. I was lucky enough to be summoned by a master that was my type of woman. Personally, I'm satisfied with her, but it looks like I'm going to be doing some disobeying. Why? Well, why not? I might not have any complaints about the boss, but I've got a hell of a lot of to say about society. Really? Is this the silhouette guy? I wonder if it's a silhouette because this is like some temporary servant that they have that's not going to stick around for a long time. Have they shown the silhouette again when her eyesight came back proper? I don't think we've been to that point yet, have we? I feel like, because that was my initial impression about the silhouette, but now that I think about it, it really did go on a long time. They never did show what he looked like proper. I feel like shit. Like I was left hanging in the morgue. Back when I was alive, the world was still lively. Nowadays, it's old and dying. Got a few 100 million years left before it kicks the bucket, and it's too late to do anything about it. Being one of those fellows that knew what she was like back in the old days, it wouldn't be right to not be a little angry about her current predicament and all that. In the old days, oh, there's only a few 100 million years left. Are there legends that even go back hundreds of millions of years that could show up? That one of these heroes would be from? Of course, it was pretty obvious that she'd be clean dry one of these days. But, damn, that was fast. Now there's a part of me that's gotta hate my own species for that filthiness, but another part of me wants to, pat him on the back at the same time. The power of humanity is incredible. Oh, how morals have come and gone in the blink of an eye. Makes me wonder just how many new generations of humanity have been born and how many have been wiped out. Given how fast they are, it's too bad how they haven't come up with any kind of evolution that's environmentally friendly. I've got to hand it to them hominids. They sure did a great job at amplifying a ready-made system instead of finding a new kind of cycle. That sort of hits a little too close to home nowadays. Oh, that really does nowadays. This is for anyone not paying attention to when this was posted. This is 2020. That should mean so much. I wonder what people are gonna think. Like 4 years down the line, like 2020. You lived through that, or like several decades down the line. Oh my goodness! Back in my day, we had 2020. Just a fantastic year. But that means there's no future ahead. So if they can buy a little more time, it'd be nice if they can come up with some new kind of improvement and keep going. They've already gone to all the trouble of destroying this much. Where do we want to go? Why have we exhausted the land? Was this good? Was this bad? I want results that anyone can understand. Even if the answer's that it was a failure, I don't mind one bit. So this is his perspective at the very least. Okay. Those of heroic spirit status must have feelings of animosity towards this era. And then again, heroic spirits are supposed to be on humanity's side. So that would mean they'd approve of whatever result humanity brings about? Just like how I do the opposite of that. Let's say there's this god, like an absolute being is a force of good. And let's say he was summoned here in this day and age. Now, what would he do? Would he approve of it? Would he act to protect us? Well, in that sort of hypothetical situation, it sort of depends on what the purpose of said god would be. The formulation of a concept of God often involves some sort of omnipotence and general decision, a predetermined decision on what is good and what is bad in most situations, yeah? So, but that's not necessary, right? For an actual, let's say there was an actual being that was like a god, right? At the very same time, you could have a god that has no purpose, that sort of thing. Like, shoot. The best example I can think of is a massive spoiler for another game I played on my channel. No, I shouldn't bring that up. But you could have gods of various inclinations towards purpose. They could be literally designed to serve humanity. They could be literally designed to serve a predetermined direction of what's good and bad, and it's not their own choice. Are they... If there's an absolute good and evil, can a god change their minds in that case? It all depends on how that's set up. There's a lot of ways you could theorize that into existence, that sort of thing, right? Generally, I'm of the opinion that right and wrong is a human conception. Because let's say we fucking wipe ourselves out because of climate change and shit like that, yeah? Let's say that happens. Then what? The Earth moves on? Humanity's gone? Oh well. Another species goes extinct by their own doing? Unfortunate, but you know, the universe continues on. Is that right? Is that wrong? It's just, you know, another step forward in some cases. From a human perspective, I sure want us to keep going on, but that's our perspective, yeah? So, yeah. Interesting discussion, though. And if this god approves, we face extinction. If he protects us, he'll watch on. A sane heroic spirit would choose the latter. One with a few screws loose would happily lend a hand, and another with only one screw left would get excited at making the world a better place. Something like, I'm going to save the world. Wow, I don't want to ever meet that kind of guy, let alone fight him. Are they making fun of Emiya? Now, as for me, there's only one thing I can do either way. I may be a heroic spirit, but I'm not that strong. Take a look at all the legends in the world and you still won't find anybody weaker than me. Yay, I'm number 1. You're damn lucky, Master. Can't get any lower than this. Easy to make up a battle plan since all there is to do to think about is how to take on the strong. Really, nobody weaker. Not even Emiya? Maybe he just doesn't know yet. Then again, Archer wasn't too bad. He wasn't too bad. I don't want to think about it, but there's a good chance that lady's stronger than me in pure fighting ability. Even with the heroic spirit boost. A heroic spirit getting his ass kicked by a human? Oh boy. I want to disappear.
だよな。正直いただけねえわ。
Ah, okay. She has a silhouette too. Huh. I wonder if they never drew them or something. Because the fact that we started the game with some of those like Photoshop looking stuff, and like I wonder. So I'm not. I know this is a sequel, sort of, but is it like a sort of fan disc style sequel where it's like they're reusing a bunch of assets and they're trying to minimize how many new things they actually make, that sort of thing? Yeah. It's hard to tell. Or is it like a proper sequel where they have all the same sort of investment and budget behind it that they normally would? I don't really know, basically. So time will tell. So like I guess my point is I don't know if I can explain that away by being like, hey, it's a budget thing, or is it some artistic styling, or does it mean something else? I don't know. Don't cause any tests, that's what she said. That's the way to go, milady mattress of the house of whatever. Can't expect to find a strategy that reeks of shelter girl on almond roll. Fitting sense of pure humanity for a master. But hey, I can't do that. All I can do is kill. Honestly, a bloodless victory is a pain in the ass. I'm already the weakest. I'm not gonna be winning if I'm a goody two-shoes. The thing does have a war in the name. Ought to be relying on the slaughter techniques that man had so painstakingly developed. Servants are one thing, but masters are humans. It'd be way easier to take them out with mines and explosions like the last time. Like the last time.
ま、今はそんな時代じゃないけどな。
Like the last time. Have you been in one before?
前は物騒な時期だったからな。命の扱いは安かったんだが。
This time, things are different. The Majors Association is watching oh so painstakingly close. Plus, the system of public safety that Modern Man had created is, you know, not too shabby. If I run wild, the other masters have figured out where Bazett is. Now, I don't mind finish off a horde of people nice and fast, but consecutive fighting on consecutive nights is, yeah, it's gonna exhaust me. So I want to avoid that. On that point, the part on Bazett's strategy about not going overboard is fine with me. So I try my best to follow the master's plan, like a good servant would. Well then, with that out of the way, let's turn back to what we have now.
待て、何をするつもりだお前は。
Ignoring my hesitant master's voice, I'm heading to the house. I don't have to bother checking. The fact that the lights are on means there are still live humans inside. Unfortunately, I don't have any human, well, or heat detecting abilities. My servant skills can be summoned up as nothing. That's okay. What's inside there is human. I dematerialize myself and pass through the front door. Oh, you go into spirit form? I was about to say, I thought you didn't have any abilities, but that's a universal servant thing, right? Except for Saber. I manifest my weapon and go towards the people in the living room. Let's finish this. Fast and cruel. Like always. Now, for all I know, there could be some accidents like the strongest ultra-humanoid in all of human history inside and has powers that surpass a heroic spirit. No problem whatsoever. I may be the weakest, but I can defeat the most powerful human being. Why? Because it's not something to brag about, but when it comes down to dealing with humans, I'm the strongest. Blood splashes up in the air. The inhabitants are dead. One middle-aged man, two boys, one granny, and one old man holding a blood-stained knife. Oh, he's still alive.
何それ
Did he, like, possess the person, maybe? What a letdown. By the time I broke in, it was already over. Oh, okay, he didn't do anything. Okay. I thought I just skipped ahead for artistic flair. His breath is ragged and heavy. The mad culprit who massacred these four. He doesn't pay any attention to me, probably because he wants to take out the last geezer. Ah, okay. What the hell is that? That seems new. I don't remember anything like that, at least. The geezer backed himself up to the wall and is desperately shaking his head. The murder scene and method are pretty grisly to look at. The bodies are ravaged beyond recognition. Blood, flesh, and entrails are splendidly scattered about. The choking stench of life, a living space splattered here and there, the end roll for the Brady Bunch. Damn clean for a murder scene. Hey, he rhymed! Not one little flaw. After all, it was murder for murder's sake. No robbing, no raping, no hungering. Not one bit of that here. I'll save him since he asked. Since it was a surprise blow from behind, the murderer is killed easily. And after that, I'm back to my regular job. He went and killed the old man anyways? What was that, though? It's like a shadow. Oh, what did the thing that we like confused for Sakura look like? I don't remember it being like the shape of like the sort of like black shadowy look sounds familiar. I don't remember like the shape of like wolf or whatever that was supposed to be. By the time I ran into that house, it was already over.
なんてこと。
There are 5 corpses in the living room. I'm able to tell by what appears to be 5 heads severed from the noose. Oh, from the nose? Sorry, I said noose. From the... Did they, like, slice the head at the nose? Is that what it means? It is a slaughter scene so grotesque that I could not have determined how many there are through any other means.
悪いな。先に済ませちまったぜ。
The servant says while standing idly in a pool of fresh blood. In the servant's clenched hand is a warped dagger. So we've switched perspectives again. A form that seems to be a mix of the fangs and claws of a beast. Interesting. Is it meant to be gripped backhanded? I've never seen such a weapon, and it looks difficult to use. So that weapon is his noble phantasm. His symbol is a heroic spirit.
おっかないぜマスター。そう睨むな。どうだ？一つ状況説明でもするか？
必要ありません。凶器と傷跡は一致しています。
The shadow laughs in agreement. There's no need to investigate any further. Is he trying to cover it up? The situation told me that the cause of tragedy was the servant.
私からの質問は一つです。なぜ殺したのですか？
なぜって、これもあんたのためだぜ。俺は当たりを探しているだけだ。一人一人調べるのも、一人一人殺していくのも変わらない。要は目撃者を作らなければいいんだろ？ならよ、こうして潰していけば、いつかマスターに出会えるぜ。
Is he trying to provoke her at this point?
お前は。
Because if that was his perspective before, what is his goal here? The guy, he hadn't listened to anything I said. I was prepared to accept some sacrifices once I went into battle. I am a magus, and I am no different from a murderer. However, still, I never desired this kind of meaningless sacrifice.
お前は人を殺すことが楽しいのか？
あ？バカ言うな。俺だって好きでやってるわけじゃねえ。あのさ、人型をしてるからって勘違いするなよマスター。 サーバントってのはつまるところこういうもんじゃないのか？
質問に答えていない。私は人を殺すのが楽しいのかと聞いたのです。
I glare at the servant, holding that warp dagger. The servant?
とりわけ何も。第一、殺しちゃ楽しめねえだろ、いろいろ。
He likes all the points up until before they're dead, right? He directed a repugnant laugh as if he wanted me to share in his amusement.
貴様、それでも英霊か。
I can't restrain myself. It's strange, I've seen people like him countless times. Without any reason, I feel disgust at this man's way of life. It somehow feels as if this man alone must not be forgiven.
あんたこそ殺し合いが向かないんならマスターになんざなるな。しらけるんだよ実際。
Well, as long as you don't... whatever.
つまんね。せっかくのショーが台無しだぜ。喜ん。
そう。悪いけど、その期待には最後まで応えられない。今確信したわ。私たちは反りが合わない。あなたは私が最も嫌う人格だ。
Hey, that's one thing they can agree on. I turn my hostility towards my own servant. I direct hatred similar to annoyance at the person I have to gain trust from first. I am not acting right. The immaturity of showing my feelings and hating someone should have been discarded long ago.
へえ。いいね。俺も基本的にあらゆるものが気に入らない。下手に気を許されるとイラつくんで、それぐらいがちょうどいい。こういうのも気が合うっていうのかね。
The servant shows no signs of caring. I hate him, and he doesn't think anything of me. So there'd be no cause for friction, even if we despise each other, as we have no plans to bond.
けどさ、あんたは割と好きな部類に入る。
I thought she was a turn-off. Except, he just said something odd.
なぜですか？あなたはあらゆるものが気に入らないのでしょ？マスターとしてあなたがどのようなサーバントかは理解できる。あなたの方向性は人間を好むものではない。
とりあえずいい女だからな。気に入らねえけど好感を抱いてるんだ。
私が女だから？
女じゃなくていい女。あんたさ、えらくそそるんだよ。
I thought you said it was a turn-off.
体つきも好みなんだが、優等生なところとか一般論を守ろうとしてるところとかみっともなさすぎて見ていられない。
Ah, damn.
わかる？こんな単一機能を発揮しただけの仕事じゃなく、何らかの意味を持って殺したくなるぐらい。
Oh, and yeah, if you're new to my series for this sort of stuff, I am trying to anticipate a little bit where they ending. So if there's like a pause in it, and for some reason I think, oh, that's the ending of it, I'll tend to go forward, just as an FYI. It's something that'll happen, and I'll get better as I get more into it, but it'll still happen occasionally. As I get more used to the cadence of how it's translated and stuff like that, especially since it's not in English, I can't just, and I don't understand Japanese, and etc, so... Yeah, just as an FYI, Shadow laughs. Intent flows in through our connected path, so dense I can physically feel it. The servant isn't lying. He hates all things. By nature, he sees everything as an object to kill without reason or reward. There can be no other explanation. Not for this pure hatred that can turn into a curse without having to use the incendiary device of magic just by existing. That leaves me with questions. For someone with as much bloodlust as him to not kill me earlier does not make any sense.
先ほどの話ですが、あなたはまず私を殺すと言い、それを抑えた。私に欲情しているあなたが例樹なしで、どうやって私への欲求を抑えたのですか？
ああ、あんたはマスターだからな。あんたは、まあ要するにこの世で唯一殺す気になれない生き物になったってわけ。 見てくれは女だけど中身は人間じゃないっつが攻略対象外の生物にカテゴライズしたんだよ。
Oh boy. That was direct. You know, he did think about how raping was one of the things that, comes before the kill. When he was thinking about how it was a clean kill for killing Sei earlier. So, yeah, that's a very obvious implication, isn't it? For some reason, I find his answer incredibly hurtful.
私を人間扱いしないと？
I've heard people say that I'm boring, or that I'm not charming, but this has to be the first time I wasn't treated like a woman. Probably more specifically a human being, but... no, he said it's a human being. But that's sort of how it sounded to me.
あれ、信用できねえか？最大限の情報なんだぜ。こんなの最初で最後の特例なんだぞ。くそ、頭くるな。こっちは本気なのに。はいはい、そうですか。形のないものは見えませんか。しょうがない。こういうのなら信用できる？
So he interpreted my silence as suspicion. He tears out a page of a notepad from the blood-soaked desk and writes something on it.
おい、これあげる。誰かに譲ったりしないように。
Is it his name? Certificate of Exception from Murder. Valid until the end of the Holy Grail War in well-written Japanese. He's an interesting one.
何ですかこれは？
何って？人間じゃない証明書。
That is... wow.
これなら誰が見てもあんたは攻略対象外ってわかるだろ。
Good for you, he says, pushing the piece of paper into my hands. If she dies during this, that's like a horrible, like, impression of yourself to get, like, to have in your dying existence. That would be unfortunate. Yes, my judgment was correct. This servant and I are hopelessly doomed to not get along. We cannot afford to stay at the murder scene forever. Hurriedly, we leave the residence behind. I have my complaints with my servant acting without my permission, but it's already too late. By continuing to argue with him, the only thing that would result in is further mistrust. However, there is one thing I feel that is strange about him. I cannot trust the servant. Master and servants are linked, but because of that, I can feel that he is fundamentally the kind that enjoys murder and completely kills his opponent ruthlessly, no matter who or what. He is my complete opposite. I complete my missions without leaving room for personal feelings. However, the servant does so only with personal feelings. He operates only on the emotion of wanting to kill people. But despite that...
なんだ？よそに行くんじゃないのか、マスター。それともあれか？ここで異常を聞きつけてきたマスターどもをはめこる。
そんな見えすいた罠にかかる魔術師はいませんし、戦闘は第2段階からです。まずは調査からと言ったでしょ。
いや、結構いそうだぜ、間抜けなルーキーは。
Well, it depends how far we are into this. If this place is mostly abandoned, it feels like we're probably pretty far into it, especially if this is Heavensfield.
例えば、夜の巡回に精を出して勝手に死んでそうなやつとかな。
Nightly patrols. Emiya did. Is he just mocking Emiya every time he talks about? Oh my goodness.
下調べなんてやってたら他の連中に食われるってのが分からねえんだよ。ほんと富士の善人だねありゃ。
Huh. I ignore my servant's chatter and walk ahead. And yet, despite all of his negative points, I don't feel that the servant is unpleasant. He's the kind of human being that I despise the most. I cannot tolerate him on any level. So why is it that I cannot completely hate him? I close my eyes and focus on our link. In exchange for the flowing magical energy, sometimes I feel something very refreshing. A feeling of homesickness rubbing against the heart. A prayer resembling a longing. So, where he came from? How hollow. Oh, hey! Like a third of the name drops. Maybe. That void tells me something. I don't understand the clear reason why. But it tells me that the servant will never betray me. It tells me that he will lend me his chaotic will to grant my wish. We resume our patrol. That night. So is this just going to be entirely these two? Or is this going to be like the story where we're just like sort of jumping between perspectives at a point? Or like between like little vignettes of something and it builds up into some story at some point. I'm still very confused as to where this is going, unless this turns into the entirety of this, which I'd be surprised by, at the very least. Because I'm not really sure what it means in regards to, is it like some alternate history or something else like that? I don't know. This night we focus our investigations on Shinto. The Shinto investigation ends in about 2 hours. We are unable to detect any traces of magi. In addition, the presence of the mysterious things the servant mentioned were confirmed. A part of me finds it hard to believe, but Fuyuki has indeed been completely changed. All over, I can feel an unusual presence. It is as if we were always being watched. The city has begun to come apart at the seams ever so slightly. On a different note, while there are many traces of magical energy, there are absolutely no signs of magic being performed. Which would mean that this isn't the work of a master gathering magical energy. The only feasible possibility is that there's something feeding on the inhabitants of the city, unrelated to the war. No master would benefit from this. Doing this would instead force a halt to the Holy Grail War.
そうか。聖杯戦争を聞きつけた外来の魔術師なら。
That would mean there's a magus that desired the Holy Grail but was not chosen as a master. Makes sense. I'm still under the assumption that we're somehow thrown into the Heavens Field conflict. Perhaps out of a twisted desire for vengeance, he is trying to disrupt the ritual. Another possibility was he made a contract with another association to disrupt the Holy Grail War. Regardless, it is obvious that there is an 8th magus in Fuyuki.
8人目？もう一人邪魔者が増えたってのか？
Maybe if my assumption about Heaven's Feel is incorrect. I mean, we're here, so who the fuck knows?
断言はできませんが、その確率が高い。私の知らない魔術師が第5次聖杯戦争に介入しようとしているのは確かだ。その魔術師の目的は分かりませんが。
He was starting out by breaking the rules of the Holy Grail War. It may be best to think of him as not just my enemy, but as the enemy of all masters.
へえ。そいつ、どんなやつ？
直接的な戦闘に自信がなく、広範囲の結界作りを得意としている。攻めより守りが向いているのでしょう。
I know Caster at a point had stuff where she was sucking the magical energy out of a lot of places. And I'm pretty sure Sakura's whole thing did that sort of just instinctively, yeah? And if this is Heaven's Feel, then I don't actually remember which one had Caster acting like that. It's been a while, because that was like one of the first half ones. I think it had to have been Unlimited Blade Works or Heaven's Feel, right? I could probably tell by just going back and looking at my playlist if I really wanted to, but yeah.
正しく魔導を学んではいませんね。黒魔術とドルイド思想が混同されている。
そういうんじゃなくてさ、強いか弱いかって話。
Well, that's relative, isn't it? Matchups will change with that. Matchups will change that. Whether he does well against you drastically, I imagine.
魔術師としてのスキルは初歩です。ですが、
The remaining magical energy traces were extremely dense. Magical energy is only fuel to activate magic. By itself, it has no effect. However, there are cases when it can leave behind a form, only limited to those times when magical energy itself bears traits similar to magic. For example, I've heard that the Einsburns Been a while since I've said that. Gave a personality to their Holy Grail. That sounds right. Oh, right. Right, because she... Right. I forgot about that part, too, with Sakura. Man, there's a lot of little details. Okay. If that personality has magical energy, then it naturally possesses the magic trait of wish granting. Since its vital activity and its functions as the Holy Grail are likely directly connected to each other, it should be able to perform miracles resembling magic merely by releasing magical energy. The incarnated demon spoken of by the Holy Church also falls into this category. Those that were created as demons rather than as life forms can use higher level magic than humans. As Magi, our magic circuits are nothing more than pseudo-nerves, an ability that was added later behind our nervous system. However, demons have no need for those. All their organic functions merely serve the purpose of invoking the demonic. Huh. Are we literally going demons in this? Interesting. I don't remember demons directly coming up previously, but I might not be remembering. I hear that the church calls these true demons, different from imposters that don a hide of human concept to become a unique identity. They are genuine demons that the Lord has commanded before man would name them, or so I hear. I will say, for all of the church involvement in this, I feel like I've had very little of the lore of the world explained that actually, helps or supports the church in their scripture and whatnot. For what little I've heard about the specific variation that exists in this world, yeah, basically, that sort of thing. Then again, I guess all the Holy Grail stuff could be considered a very unique sort of specific sort of manifestation of all the phenomenon, rather than being any sort of proper reflection of the basis of existence or anything like that, yeah? Then again, there is the whole, little bits and pieces of the lore popping back into my mind, and I'm not remembering everything to say anything with any sort of certainty. I'm not remembering enough detail, at the very least. Because there's the whole, outside, the flow of time aspect of the Holy Grail stuff, and all that sort of fun, exciting stuff.
何にせよ、厄介な介入者のようです。つまらない行動原理の魔術師なら取るに足りませんが、教会に雇われたフリーランスだとしたら侮れない。
I know the priest was doing shit, right? But he was just doing stuff in his basement in regards to stuff like this, yeah?
そういえば、前回の聖杯戦争で勝ち残ったのも確か。
A freelance magus hired by the Einsburns. His name was Emiya Kuritsugu. A combat magus called in by the Einsburns who had been retired from the front lines by the time I had been assigned to sealing missions. Our occupations have the tendency to intrude on each other's territory. Had he been still active, I likely would have fought him numerous times. While the situation is becoming more unstable, I can't change my policy just because of one more enemy. I will proceed with an investigation of all the masters, causing as little damage to the people of the city as possible. The problem is what to do next. It is obvious that my servant's abilities are low-ranking. In a straight-out fight on pure ability, he will eventually exhaust himself and lose. I have to think of an order of who to fight, but I know very well who our final opponent ought to be. The lineage of the Holy Grails, Einsburn. It has been said that they have prepared the most powerful master for this war. While they certainly have the most powerful servant, I'd say, just, well, it feels like he's the strongest, right? Saber's certainly up there, and all of them are certainly, well, I guess maybe there are a lot of powerful ones. It's hard to tell. Most powerful master, probably? But strategy means a lot more than pure power for the master, right? In the past, I fought an homunculus created by the Einspurns. Being a failed creation facing disposal, it ran away from Einspurn territory and survived by scraping out a meager existence in a human city. Oh! You don't think? That, like, white-haired, like, Ilia-looking... That white-haired girl from before that I saw, you think that might be someone like that? Maybe? Someone who was, like, a, failed creation, and they left? Interesting idea, at least. I was responsible for destroying it, but the results were bitter. Even considering that, at that time, I was still inexperienced. The Einspurn to produce a homunculus was tougher than many magi. The same Einspurns have produced a master for this battle that they believe to be the most powerful. In all honesty, I can't even begin to see any chance of victory at this stage. Until I discover what tricks the enemy has up their sleeves, fighting against the Einspurns is suicidal. In the forest on the outskirts of the city lies the old castle that the Einspurns control. The day we invade that forest most likely be the day my Holy Grail War will end. The last place we come to is a hilltop graveyard for foreigners. I feel it's because of the Einspurns casting a shadow over my mind. So is the graveyard next to the church? I guess that makes sense. I never thought of that before, though. I suppose it's because of the Einspurns casting a shadow over my mind. I feel weak, disorientated from the headache. Or maybe because of something else. I really, really didn't want to come here.
どうしたマスター？考え事か？
My unease must have shown on my face. My servant is actually showing concern for my health. I allow myself to be taken in by sudden consideration.
つまらない質問ですが、あなたは私が勝てると思いますか？
And I put into words that weak uncertainty that I tried not to think about. That's a no. The servant's expression changes. Keeping his mouth twisted with sarcasm, he turns his back to me.
その不安はまだ早い。
That's a no.
勝つか負けるかなんだ。何を倒すかを決めてからなんだが。
His voice is strained. He is bent forward like a beast with prey before his eyes.
ついてねえな。
Is that the moon again?
どうやら悠長に悩む時間はないみたいだぜ。
He's grinning. What he sees is a master and a servant. I feel powerful, full of magical energy. The command spell on her left hand shines brightly. She is still young, but appears to possess a wisdom that far surpasses my own. Is that?
はじめまして。ひなびた荒野の魔術師さん。
What? What?
どう？お互いの名を知る必要はあるかしら。
She's probably from one of the great houses. Her eyes are full of derision. To her side is another figure. I cannot tell which class she belongs to. The fact that a master brought her means she must be a servant. No, well, no. No. No, I was thinking, like, could she possibly be, but, what? And they're wearing matching dresses for some reason. I remove the leather gloves inscribed with the runes of protection from my chest pocket. I take them out along with something hard. Why was I carrying this earring? Why had I tucked it away so carefully? These questions rise to the surface, but now isn't the time for that. I put the gloves on. The girl waits politely for me to make my move. I regret not bringing Raj with me. If I survive, I'll make sure to carry it, even if I'm out only for investigations. While I shouldn't use my trump card immediately, having it increases my range of strategy.
敵の実力を測ります。あなたはサーバントの相手を。
あいよ。
So he thinks she's a servant too? Can't they tell? Like, I thought they were able to, like, feel servants and stuff like that. I might be remembering it correctly. Take anything I say with a grain of salt. So, yeah. Not taking any care to see what she would do, he rushed towards the girl servant. The two figures clash. I passed by the side and ran towards the defenseless master.
名乗り上げる名さえ持たぬ田舎者でしたのね。よろしくてよ。エーデルフェルトの手にかかることを名誉となさい。
The what? She fired a Scattergander. Yeah, that's her thing, right? A one-action spell preventing close combat. Her magecraft is a firearm in itself. This is not a metaphor. Adolfel, a noble family of Finland. The ore scales, the same Adolfel that produced many masters of the Gander. So is... I feel like I'm not wrong in saying that she's, I'm not wrong in saying that that's Tohsaka and Sakura, right? That feels like a safe assumption at this point. I thought she was saying that was their name, but is she just saying where the spell came from originally? This generation's young head was praised the pride of their lineage, but now that I've seen how skilled she is, I can agree. Wait, what? I don't block the Gander aimed at both sides of my thigh. I keep moving, parrying only the Gander that would hit my upper body with my left fist.
素手で私のガンドを。
I move in. My right fist, lowered to the base of my chest, strikes aimed at the side of her stomach, where her kidneys are. I am blown backwards. A figure appearing from behind her protects her from a body blown repels me. Hey, Saber! A swordsman stands in my way, the actual servant. A servant. There's no denying it. That is a servant.
そんな、ならもう一人の少女は。
The moment I look away to confirm the battle's over.
お願い、セイバー。
The other girl screams. Saber What? Saber defeats my servant just as the girl had ordered her to. How appallingly weak. With just one flash of steel, not even able to match sword against sword, my servant has his neck pierced and is already gone.
何よ、話にならないじゃない。
Wait, but...
量が冷めたわ。セイバー、手っ取り早く片付けなさい。帰って熱いコーヒーを楽しみましょう。
Are there two sabers, or is she switching, like, forms? Saber nods silently. I am defeated, without being able to prepare my weapon. So, this saber. This doesn't make any sense. The two girls are each using a different saber.
下調べが足りなかったようね。
And ongoing.
エーデルフェルトの当主は常に姉妹だと。あなたの耳には届かなかったのかしら。
That doesn't... Sisters! That is the magical trait of their bloodline. The normally abhorrent notion of having two successors was the reason why they were called scales. Then the two of them are one master and summon two different sides of the same heroic spirit?
まず一人、私たちの手にかかることを光栄に、一番初めに倒されることを恥と知りなさい。残るマスターは、これであと5人ですわ。
Her voice echoed to the moon. Saber silently and without showing any hint of emotion. thrust her sword deep into my chest. My consciousness is being severed. The moon is cycling like a white skull. What about the black moon that was up there? And thus comes the end of my Holy Grail War once again. Losing sight of the ending without conclusion. The curtains fall. Yeah, that doesn't help my confusion. Like all the like stuff looked normal, didn't it? Like outside of the new stuff, it looked normal. That was the dream I had. I wake up just before 6 in the morning. The light coming through the window is a little bright, and the breeze seeping through the gaps is a little chilly.
しまった。またやっちまった。
Okay, so we're back to Emiya? The Aerofelt system? What? I'm confused. I'm confused. A steamy summer had come and gone, passing into October before anyone realized it. Okay, where the fuck are we now? Just timeline-wise. Are we past the end of everything and he had a dream of that shit happening? Did he dream from both their perspectives if that was his dream? Because we switched perspectives to the serpent for a little bit. It's become a season where falling asleep without a blanket is a bad idea.
昨日の夜は、
I set my still sluggish brain into motion. Last night I fixed up bike number 1, changed number 2's chain to a new one while I was at it. And since I didn't have anything else to do, I relaxed a bit and ended up nodding off.
さすがに地べたで寝るときついな。もうじき冬だし、布団一式へ運んでおかないと。
I wanna say it happened in like February, right? The Holy Grail War stuff. Because I remember my birthday being around then when it happened. Like in the in-universe, like my birthday was like part of the time frame it happened in or something like that. I vaguely remember that being the case. So, yeah, that's a good way to remember stuff. I rotate my stiff shoulders and breathe in. Breakfast starts at 6:30 at the Emiya residence. There's still plenty of time, but I know the people who are going to eat. People making breakfast I have to wake up 30 minutes earlier than that.
さくらのやつ、最近飯作り終わってから起こしに来るんだもんな。まったく、いつから人の趣味を面白おかしく奪うような性格になったんだろ。
Haha. It is definitely the influence of her sister. Okay, so we're at the point where we know that. Anyway, at this house, if you want to make breakfast, you have to wake up at 6 a.m. or risk being beaten to the punch. As the master of this house, no, as her teacher, I can't afford to be outdone already by my pupil. Just face it, Emiya. Everyone in your life is better at everything you do, except you're the bottom rung of every single thing in the end. Once someone else starts learning how to do something that you're good at, they'll get better than you at. Once I step into the veranda, my nose catches the smell of breakfast. Sound of an active kitchen knife reaches my ears. Judging by this, I'd say breakfast is about 80% complete. The same old scenery of a pleasant morning. Savoring it as if it was only natural.
おや、おはようございます、シロ。今朝は少し寝坊ですか？
Okay, so is this gonna be the point where we're like subtly just like everything, like everyone's alive or something like that? I think I'm gonna guess that's what's gonna happen. But I'm not sure what's happening with that other thing. Oh my goodness. I gaze at her smile.
シロ、どうしたのです？私の顔に何か？
Half a year ago, back when I was still cold, there had also been times like this. That was...
顔色が優れませんね。まったく、また土蔵で用を明かしたのですか？シロ、鍛錬を欠かさぬ心構えは立派ですが、それで体を壊しては半人前だ。
Yeah, after all, I'm still a kid. It's only been half a year since the Great War. People can't grow up that easily.
聞いているのですか、シロ？いいですか？リンに留守を任されている以上、不節制が続くようでは、私にも考えがあります。
That's right. With Tohsaka gone, it was up to Saber to protect the order of our household. But that's not important right now.
セイバーの考えってどんな？
シロが一番苦手なことを。いくら言っても守らないのですから、監督として身近で指導をするしかない。
Do I have to go to school? Is she gonna like follow me to school or something?
シロが悔い改めないというのなら、今日からでも部屋をシロの隣に移しましょう。
Again? She says something horrifying with a smile. Okay, that's her normal smile, I think. That's her normal sort of smile expression. For a second, and it's sort of because technically this is at a much smaller resolution than my monitor. It's just sort of blown up to my full monitor. I noticed this when I was like rendering out the last one because the actual recording had my entire resolution of my monitor, but the actual game was only like a fourth of it. Which wasn't the case for Fate's Day Night, so, you know, yeah. But it's a little blurry, so I was wondering if she might have like an actual smirk on her face rather than just a smile. Saber's room is a Japanese-style guest room. Bakushi is moving out from the room next to mine.
お断りします。住居を変える理由がありません。
She was being real hard-headed about it, but I managed to get her to back down. The war is over, and there's no need to have a bodyguard after all. That happened just a little while ago. Ever since then, I took back the appropriate peace of mind of a healthy young man. So does she have her powers still? I know she'll still be a very good swordsman, but does she still have a lot of those like magic powers and like servant upscaling of power and everything?
反省した。明日からきちんと自分の部屋で寝る。
結構です。まあ、 この条件が効果てきめんというのは私としては複雑ですが、これ身近で警護できないのが不安ではありますが、シローが安眠できないのでは仕方がない。
Okay, let's turn down the speed of this a little bit. I'm getting a little antsy to actually click it forward because I'm hearing stoppages when the actual text is already finished. I turned it up quite a bit in terms of the speed, so I definitely think I overshot. Saber turns readily towards the living room. Of course, why should anyone feel reluctant to end a regular old morning conversation? I forgot to tell her. I have to say it.
セイバー、おはよう。今日も一日よろしくな。
はい、シローも気をつけて。
I go Saber to the living room. My vision goes blurry for some reason, wondering why I rub my eyes. Interesting.
あれ、
My eyes were a little watery. And I assume this would be before that archery club training camp. The same old scenery of a pleasant morning. I must have yawned from the blessed boredom of it all.
いただきます。
Maybe he's actually getting possessed in some form. The slightly different sound of a variety of clasping hands echoed. On the table is the main dish of grilled fish. 6 portions of it, actually.
はい、そんなわけで今朝はさくらが早起きして作ってくれました。みんな、特にそこのぐうたら人間はさくらに感謝しつつ、よく噛んで食べるように。
How many people are going to be at this table? Okay. 2 people nod earnestly. No, I didn't mean you guys. I meant the Fujimura group over there. Trading spinach for roast chicken.
あ、また納豆がある。
Oh, okay. Is she living here now?
私のはいらないって言ってるのに、さくらも懲りないんだから。
Honestly, I don't remember the end states of a lot of the different endings. So it's just like, I'm just gonna assume everyone's alive and they're probably living here. I sort of expect Archer, the servant, to show up and be living here or something like that. Especially in that opening, I think I saw him doing something very benign looking.
タイラ、納豆食べるでしょ。卵焼きと交換して。
いいけど、まだ納豆苦手なの？食べず嫌いはダメよ。と言いつつ、卵半分ならうなずくお姉ちゃんであった。むふふ、納豆とご飯の良さがわからないとはまだまだひよっこね。
半分か。いいわ、そのレートで交換してあげる。どうせこんなに食べきれないものは、そうやって知らないうちにさくらの関係に引っかかってなさい。
10日交換成立。卵半分でイリアちゃんの納豆をゲットだぜ。あとさくらちゃんの関係ってなんだ？
大丈夫、ご心配には及びません。カロリー計算はちゃんとやってますから、よく噛んでちゃんと運動すれば余分なお肉なんてつきません。
That's a lot of thought put into it.
ね、そうですよね、セイバーさん。さくらの言う通りです。体格が違うので断言はできませんが、タイガだけ体重が増すということはないでしょう。ほら、セイバーさんもこう言ってますし、じゃんじゃん食べちゃってください。言われるまでもなく、さくら、山盛りでお願いします。
Ryder and I exchanged glances. So is this everyone here? These 1, 2, 3, 6? It looks like we have the same thing in mind, but some things are better left unsaid.
ライダーはもうお茶番からだけど。
I was about to say, why are you so blurry?
私は一杯で結構です。セイバーほどの消化器官は持ち合わせてはいませんし、 燃費が悪いわけでもない。
Oh, are we thinking that she's being a glutton? Is that the joke?
お茶をいただいていますので、さくらも食事に専念してください。
Do we think that Saber just like tricked Sakura into thinking that being a glutton's okay? Ryder pours tea for herself. Sipping the hot tea silently really does seem to fit her.
燃費が悪いとは聞き捨てなりませんね、ライダー。私とて必要最低限であれば一杯で十分だ。ですが、こうして用意された以上、残すこともないでしょう。兵糧は無駄にしてはいけませんし、何より。
Welcome to the modern world. I don't know.
ふろふき大根美味しいよね。
Hey, Taiga's voice actress. Just make mouth noises.
セイバーちゃん食べないならちょうだい。
お断りします。
いや、
何よりせっかくさくらが用意してくれた食事です。簡単に済ますのは心苦しい。美味しい料理は素直に心の赴くままいただくものです。
I heard that vase break. I feel that what Saber said is he's a perfectly logical and wonderful opinion. Or I would. If only she hadn't asked for a third serving already. People, you really shouldn't overdo things.
あれ、今日のお味噌汁なんか味違うね。白が手伝ったんじゃないでしょう。なんかバラバラな感じ。味が濃いくせにじゃがいもは細かくきれいにカットされてる。下手なのに繊細。駆け出しの彫刻師みたい。
Why would the novice carver be Emiya in this situation?
ああ、いや、何事も経験だし、変わったことをしとかないとな。
So Ryder did it, presumably?
ふん。私は前のが好きだけど。まあ、こっちも将来性はなくもないかな。セラが作る和風料理もこんな感じだし。
Is that one of your maids? I don't remember their names. Ryder slumps in relief. I didn't exactly lie. What I was trying to do is hide the fact that today's miso soup was made by our very own Ryder. When I got to the kitchen this morning, Sakura and Ryder were already there. Saber and I laid out the tableware, all while watching Ryder in her desperate battle in front of the miso soup pot.
藤村先生、そろそろ時間です。文化祭の準備会始まっちゃいますよ。
Was the training camp related to the cultural festival? I don't remember.
あっちゃー、さすがに今日遅刻したら竜道くんに怒られるわね。食後のお茶さえも楽しめないのか、教員生活。
Stay it with you. Fujine rose up, holding the helmet for Tiger number 1 in her hand. Okay, maybe don't take it with you.
じゃあさくらちゃん、先に行ってるわね。シローも遅刻しないように来るのよ。進学しないからってあんまり気を抜いてサボらないように。
And so, the single female teacher in her 20s waved at us with a smile and ran off as I continued my sort of revenge thoughts about her. Since the cultural festival is closing in lately, Fujine has been leaving early. The same goes for Sakura, the succeeding captain of the archery club, but due to the festival, the regular morning training was reduced to a short meeting. Because of that, she had 30 more minutes of free time than usual.
文化祭、もうすぐですね。姉さんもそれまでに帰ってこられればいいんですけど。
So this is sort of like a sort of kind of sequel to everything. Is she off at that like British Mage Academy place? I don't remember what they called it.
そうだな。夏休み中に帰ってくるなんて言っておきながら、もう10月だし。あっちでなんかあったのかな。
Obviously, she was brainwashed and told that she was going to be part of the Edelfeld family. Whatever the fuck that is. Is that Discord? Do I have Discord open? Sorry, I had Discord open too, still apparently. More like, it would be nice if she didn't cause anything to happen. Seriously.
長期滞在してるのは自業自得よ。だいたい1ヶ月で済むわけないじゃない。宝石系の真似事をして失敗したのよ。
Okay.
まあ凛には100年早いから万が一なんて起きないだろうけど、もし第二魔法を暴発させてたらそれこそどうなってたことか。
Were you also there, maybe? How do you know so much? Ilya is genuinely disgusted. Well, I guess it's normal to be angry if all that happened in your own castle. Okay, that explains how she knows. Let's go back 2 months. One day in the midst of summer holidays, Tohsaka said, as enthusiastic as ever,
ロンドンに行く身としては切り札が必要でさ。なんでも今季は鬼人が多いって言うし、極東の田舎者としては貫禄の一つでもつけとかないとね。
she's aware of how she comes off there. She tried slapping together, well, knowing Tohsaka though, she probably had taken great care in preparation, a pendant, a super miniature version of the jewel sword that can monitor waves from parallel worlds. And messed up completely and utterly on a scale that us mere mortals could never even imagine. Yay. The result, all the data and materials she had collected, including the money she had to borrow from Sakura to purchase them, went... poof. She borrowed money? Did she not have money ever? Whatever. I don't even remember. I thought she had like a... Well, maybe I'm just completely wrong. According to Ilya, the fact that she even survived meant she was a monster. After looking at her bank book, though, that monster turned into something more like the living dead.
エミヤ君、アルバイト先紹介して。
Back then, things were still relatively okay despite her saying things like that, but one day something major happened. That was the price of meddling in sorcery, and what came to be called the Winchester events. Later.
さすがに今回はピンチだわ。このままだと封印指定を受けちゃうかもしれない。その前にねじれちゃったところを直さないと。
Sealing. That's what Bazett does, right? So something from the association. What's loose? What's currently happening? Okay. With that, she journeyed to the clock tower, the HQ of magic.
けどさ、あれって結局どういうことだったんだ？
Nothing. Who knows? Who cares? It has to do with parallel universes, and that probably has something to do with the whole Bazett thing, right?
単にイリアの城がしっちゃかめっちゃかになっただけだろ？
もう分かってないわね、シロは。リンは武器として加工してない得意点をぶっ放しちゃって、この町はちょっとしたターミナルになりかけたんだから。
Yeah, those all sound so familiar in the context of Fate, but I'm not remembering exactly how... Yeah, I'm just gonna say I don't remember.
因果率が狂って事象が合成して未来の次に過去がつながりそうになったって言えばわかる？
No, because those don't actually mean anything, but, you know, a little, I suppose. The future leading to the past a little bit more. I suppose that helps. But, you know.
要するに何でもありの世界になりかけたってことか。
Maybe there is a world out there that's like that, and that's where all the Bazett stuff is happening. Or Bazett. I think that's what it was. Bazett? Maybe. I don't care.
わかりやすく言えばね。厳密に言うと、この街で起こりうる可能性なら全て引き寄せられた世界になりかけたってこと。
Is that going to be their explanation? That no one just notices it? Like all... That would be interesting. Like, if there's an actual in-universe explanation for it to be a world that has all the endings together where everyone just happens to be alive and none of their deaths are technically still around. That would be interesting at the very least. Okay. All possible outcomes drawn in. I mean, I'm guessing how that handles people being dead or alive is that they're alive for the sake of, them still being around, but like winning first place in the lottery, or aliens coming to Earth, or true immortality being perfected, or everyone suddenly coming to kill me! Well, that happened already, so... In other words, a morbid joke that had a small chance of occurring actually happening.
なるほど、それであんなことに。けど、あれはそういうのとはちょっと違ったような。
Well, I mean it was a world that was a flat-out copy of a children's fairy tale. I mean, it was a world that was the same one from Dogson's Alice. Like, what, Alice in... I don't know what Dogson is. I assume that's an author's name. Like Alice in Wonderland or something? I don't know. I mean, it was pretty much a real-life version of May Survive. What are we talking about?
あれには私たちも驚きました。リンがしようとしたことは人の手に余ることです。ことによっては聖杯戦争より大元になってしまう。
Yeah, probably. Said its victim quietly. Actually, not only Ryder, but everyone here plus one other were victimized by it.
どうしたさくら？なんかあったのか？
いえ、大したことじゃないんです。
Sakura trailed it off. Well, if she says so, I'll just nod and leave it at that. Or like I was planning to.
聖杯戦争って言葉でしょ。なんだ、気づいてないのかと思ってたけど、まだ半信半疑だっただけか。
The child of Winter did not overlook that comment.
聖杯戦争がどうしたんだよ、イリア。もう半年も前のことだろ、それは。
そうかしら。少なくともサーバントたちはそう思っていないんじゃないかしら。
I don't know, they're still around, so that's weird. We've got two of them.
ねえセイバー、ライダー。あなたたちならこの空気に気づいているわよね。
So is it a world where there's still someone around? Like all possibilities?
ライダー？セイバーさんも何か知っているんですか？
いえ、私は何も。ただ、イリアの言う通り、この町の空気が張り詰めていることは承知しています。小さな、本当に些細な違和感なので、様子を見ていたのですが。
A minor sense of discord. Oh, like the chat? Like the chat program that I had to close because it popped up and made noise? What are you saying? Why is Ryder mentioning something so plainly obvious?
セイバーはライダーの言ってることわかるか？
はい。憶測に過ぎないことですが、よろしいですか、シロ。
I nod silently.
では、率直に言えば、殺気立っているのは町ではなく、私たちサーバントです。そうでしょう、ライダー。私たちは数日前から共に軽い敵意を抱いている。理性ではなく本能が互いを倒すべき敵だと告げている。それはつまり聖杯戦争時におけるサーバントの高揚感ですか。
And why would that come back over half a year?
認めたくはありませんが、私も同じ結論です。
But why would that come back rather than being there the entire time? Saber and Ryder glare at each other. What they are saying is extremely simple.
そうか。要するに聖杯戦争が起きてるってことだな。
We aren't concerned with the whys and hows yet. The evidence points to this conclusion.
そんな、ありえません。変ですよ、先輩。聖杯なんてもうないじゃないですか。
Could someone start the ritual? Like, just in enough sense to, like, trigger that sort of reaction from them. Because if you don't have the Holy Grail, obviously large pieces of what was going on can't reoccur again. But you could probably manifest aspects of it again, yeah?
それにほら聖杯戦争が起きるなら教会からお知らせとかあるんじゃないですか？
Is the priest still alive? Did he live through any of them? I don't remember.
ああ、けどないよな、そんなの。それじゃあ、新しく聖杯戦争が起きたんじゃなくて、終わったものが何でか再開したっていうのはどうだろう。それなら合点がいくというか。
Okay, how did the last one end, guys? Should we discuss that? After all, most of the masters are still alive. The servants are still hanging around, and our command spells are still in good shape. Most of the masters are still alive. That's... Wait, how long ago did this thing happen in Winchester? The Winchester thing? How long ago was that? So if they brought together all possibilities, is what we're saying that all those possibilities were brought back together, which restarted the Holy Grail War, maybe? Because there are people that are alive that shouldn't be in any of the situations where it ended? I still have one left on my left hand.
へえ、そっか。それなら十分ありえるわね。第5次の勝者はシローだけど、シローは聖杯を使わなかった。
Was it?
シャーバントもまだ残っている状況だし、何かの弾みで戦闘状態が再開したという解釈はありかも。
So I remember we won in the Fate route. Did we technically win in Unlimited Blade Works? I suppose... Yeah, I think that ended in a very similar way, so I think technically we are the one to win. Because Archer disappeared and whatnot, then we took out the Grail, yeah?
敗者復活戦ということですか。
And in Heaven's Feel... I don't remember technically who won, because there's a lot of people... It was a lot more convoluted in how it ended. Yeah, I thought like Emiya straight up died during that one. Or almost died and was brought back into another... Do I have the weird other body still happening? Is that still happening?
しかしイリア、聖杯戦争の勝者がシローというのは誰が決めたのです？私は勝者のいない戦いだったと思うのです。
Ooh, contradictions. Writers ain't complaining that I won, it's the complaints of making me the winner of a battle I made sure had no winner.
勝者を決めるのは他ならぬ聖杯よ。
Okay.
結果はどうあれ、聖杯はシローを勝者として捉えている。他ならぬ私が言うんだから間違いないでしょ。
Are you literally the will of the Holy Grail, though? I'm trying to remember that aspect, too. I don't remember that. So is your argument... I'm trying to figure out, are you literally saying that you have the will of the Holy Grail and to the point where you can do the magical decision of a victor? Or are you just being like, I'm the Holy Grail technically, so fuck that. You win.
わかりました。
Huh.
では、聖杯としてのあなたに問いましょう。この状況を。
Ryder's looking at Ilias seriously. If fighting breaks out, Sakura will be put in harm's way. For that reason, Ryder must be feeling a sense of danger at the words resumption of the Holy Grail War.
ちょっと待ったライダー。別にどうもこうもないだろう。再開したっていうが、そもそも聖杯がないんだ。戦う理由がないじゃないか。
よくできました。シローの言う通りよ。確かに最近の冬季はどこかおかしいけど、そう目くじらを立てるほどのことじゃないわ。だいたいね、シャーバントが聖杯戦争後も限界してるって時点でおかしいんだから、これぐらいの異常容認しないとやっていけないわよ。
But it's not a matter of accepting. If we're calling it abnormal, then there's a lot of abnormal. But that doesn't mean those abnormals don't have explanations.
そうそう。仮にライダーたちがいることでよからぬ企みを持ったやつが来ても変わらない。 だってそのよからぬやつを迎撃するのもライダーたちだからな。強者の条件って知ってるか？
The conditions of being...
目立つやつは敵を作りやすいけど、その敵から当然のようにみんなを守れるやつを強者って言うんだ。腕が立つだけの人間はただの暴れん坊で、俺が知る限り2人は本当の意味での強者だと思うけど。
はい、またもシローの言う通り、今日のシローは物分かりが良くて100点満点です。
Okay. They're good people, basically. They would do the right thing and use their strength when necessary. Which is right. Should I be dancing in Troy? Oh, gee. I guess the usual me is always dense.
だから問題があるとしたらあなたたちよ、シェイバー、ライダー。あなたたち戦いを再開したいの？
断じてありません。まあライダーが戦うというのであれば受けて立ちますが、それはこちらのセリフです。あなたには幾度となく敗れてきた。あなたが私に機会をくれるのなら借りを返しても構いませんが。
Do you really got... No, oh my goodness. Well, I suppose if they... Are they being egged on by the whole Holy Grail aspect of this? Because they mentioned that it was something that existed that wasn't there before, the desire to have conflict with each other. Sparks are flying between those two. For a short while, it looked like they finally got along, but I guess they're still rivals.
よかった。ま、発情期の猫じゃあるまいし、いくらあなたたちでも理由なく暴れたりしないものね。退屈だからって人間狩りをするような趣味もないだろうし。
Cats in heat. Interesting choice of words.
イリアスピール、その例えはどうかと思う。私はそのような悪鬼ではない。まあ彼女には前例があるので弁護することはできませんが。
I didn't want it to, but you can counter that argument. If it comes down to behaving like an animal, I don't think that Saber is any different, but I'll put that aside.
つまりどうなったんでしょう。
他の連中が襲ってくることもないだろうし、しばらくは様子を見よう。まだ事件なんて起きてないんだし、無理に調べて回ることもないってことかな。
そうですね。あ、それじゃあ他のサーバントさんに聞いてみたらどうですか？ランサーさんとかよく街で見かけますけど。
Soccer just said something odd. And given how long I've been recording, probably worth investigating next time, considering we've come to a little bit of a conclusion point on our discussion. This is interesting. I'm still confused as to what's the story. We're on like the 4th different story at this point, and we're only like 3 hours in. So I guess we'll see. I'm guessing the main cast story here is going to be the main one. But that opening also had that other Bazett character is very significant, as well as that white hair girl we saw. So she obviously is applicable here too to some... I don't know. I'm guessing the story is that somehow that event with Rin caused all the realities to become the same from the different routes. Because of that, it's restarting something, and we're gonna get caught up in it in some fashion. And it caused some parallel universe thing to happen with Bazett or something like that, maybe. In universes, basically stuff that we didn't see in the other routes, but were still possible in some capacity. Yeah? So, that's my guess. I'm gonna try to not... so I'm going to be trying to do longer-ish episodes for when I can, but if I don't, then that's more just a limit on my time than anything. So, at least for now, that's my plan going forward, so I'll see y'all next time on Fate's Hollow Ataraxia? I still don't know. See you then. Drive safely, everyone.